Welcome to the State of the Market for Law Firm Sales in 7 minutes. My name is Jeremy Poock, and I lead Senior Attorney Match. In today's In 7 Minutes, we'll discuss the 4 reasons to sell your law practice in 2022. So let's jump right into it. The first reason to sell your law practice this year is because the value of your law practice this year is at its highest value in comparison to where the value of your practice will be for the remainder of this decade. That is for senior attorneys, for attorneys that have practiced more than 30 years. And here we're showing the 5 components of that value, which is your client list, your referral source list taken together. That's your book of business, your goodwill, your subject matter knowledge, and the digital value of your practice. We have to keep in mind the ongoing impact that 2020 continues to have on the legal industry and on the value of senior attorney led firms. What we're showing here is that the shift in consumer behavior that started in 2020, and that trend will continue throughout this decade, is that consumers continue to look for their lawyers on Google. We're often saying that the number one referral source in America today is Google. It's Uncle Google, and it is growing law firms by and large that are recognizing that we have entered the 3.0 digital era for law firms, and the impact that that will have on those 5 components of value for senior attorney led firms is that for those senior attorneys that are not improving and increasing and adopting the digital value, the 3.0 digital era need that law firms have today to keep pace with the consumer attention to come to their law firms, that is new clients and new referral sources, those important chips of the client list and your referral source list will not replenish as much as it did in yesteryear. And what we're seeing in terms of a trend for senior attorneys is that revenue, as time goes by post 2020, for those senior attorneys that maintain their status quo, their revenues will decrease because they're not keeping pace with new clients and new referral sources. That leads to the next reason to sell your law practice this year. And that reason is really about who not to sell your law practice to. And what we're showing here is that if you have internal successors in your law practice, that is key employees, senior associates, junior partners, even partners, by and large, those internal successors, they do not want to purchase your law practice. And the reasons are fourfold. The first is that you hired these people as key employees and they wanted a job then and they still only want a job. Second reason is that internal successors, they went to law school. They didn't go to business school. The third reason is that your internal successors today are typically in their 40s or early 50s or mid 50s. They just can't afford to purchase your law practice when they have homes to run, kids to put through college, cars to lease or buy, and they just can't afford typically to buy your law practice. And by the way, banks aren't typically willing to lend on a sale to an internal successor. And the fourth reason is that internal successors strangely just assume that the boss will never retire. So that begs the question of who wants to purchase your law practice? And that's the third reason to sell your law practice this year. Growing law firms. Growing law firms need senior attorney led practices because they recognize the 4 components of synergy value that senior attorneys present. And those 4 components consist of instant client growth, that client list that you've developed, the referral sources that you have that presents that instant client growth to a growing law firm, the combined workforce. Your internal successor who doesn't want to purchase your law practice presents tremendous value to a growing law firm, as does your staff people that know the law, know the areas of practice that you've developed. That third component of synergy value is the cumulative experience, the practice areas that you've developed and that your staff has developed over the course of your career. And then fourth is the marketing value that you present in the 3.0 digital era. Senior attorneys present such tremendous marketing value in terms of podcasts and YouTube videos, vlogs and blogs that you just don't have the time today to do. But by joining a growing law firm, you will have the time and they need that resource from you. And that leads to the fourth reason why you should sell your law practice this year. And that's really a quality of life reason. And what we're showing here are three major benefits when senior attorneys and our clients are typically selling their law practices to growing law firms and they're continuing to practice at those firms. And the three benefits that they experience is first, you don't have to deal with payroll anymore. You don't have to write checks to a landlord. You can finally engage in marketing efforts that you've only wished that you had the time to do, and you could be practicing remotely. Second benefit is that the combined workforce, the growing law firms have those 5 and 10 year plus associates and junior partners that you've been aspiring to bring into your firm. Well, these firms have those very qualified and talented lawyers that you can transfer the trust that your clients have in you to that larger workforce. And then the third benefit is that you can actually start spending time outside of the office, spend more time with your family, go on that 3 week vacation, pursue the hobby that you wish you had time to pursue. So, in terms of today's buzzer beater, let's just review again the four reasons to sell your law practice this year. The first reason is that your practice has its highest value this year as compared to future years this decade throughout the 2020s, because as time goes on, the chips of your client list and your referral source list, they will turn orange over time. The second reason to sell your law practice is to recognize that your internal successors, they don't want to purchase your practice by and large, and they can't afford to either. The third reason is that growing law firms, they recognize the synergy value that you and your law practice present to help them grow by acquisition. And that fourth reason is the quality of life that you can experience by selling your practice to a growing law firm and continuing to practice without the burden of having to run your practice any longer. And those are the four reasons to sell your law practice in 2022. Thank you.